Hello, hey, thanks for coming back. Welcome to Coffee with Kelley. Today we're getting a little crazy with the coffee. We've got a little Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin spice. Side note, for me, my treat with my coffee, I love Ready Whip. Or Trader Joe's has a really good brand, Cabot. Their Ready Whipped Cream or whatever. That's my little vice. But I ran out today. I was a little bummed. So anyways, just a little tip if you want to spice up your coffee life a bit. That's a great trick. So moving on to today's topic, the market research I did was super informative. And one of the questions I asked was, what do you struggle with most when it comes to embracing health, fitness, lifestyle factors? And the number one response I got was consistency. And number two, close second place, was actually motivation. And I thought they tied hand in hand really well. And so for today's talk, we're gonna go over motivation and kind of how we can, A, tap into motivation, and two, create habits, create consistency so that we take action towards whatever goal we have set out for ourselves to reach. So starting off with motivation, I think it's important to understand that there's typically two sources of motivation. One of them is extrinsic and one of them is intrinsic. Now, extrinsic motivation, that comes from external things in our environment that might motivate us. It might be getting into the whatever size pants it is for the class reunion, or finishing that race so we can get the medal and the beer at the end, or getting X done so that we can get this paycheck or this payoff or this notoriety, right? So all of those reward systems are coming externally. The difference, though, with an intrinsic goal or intrinsic motivation is that is coming from within us. We're enjoying in the process. It's something that we're doing for ourselves, that we don't need any external validation or reward in order for us to engage in whatever behavior or process or to set forth to achieve that goal, because it's coming from within. And that is really important to kind of look inside and take the time to self-reflect to figure out what is the source of motivation for whatever goal or outcome that you're looking to have. And if it is external, seeing if that you can find something within that is going to give you that intrinsic motivation. So that drive that's going to fulfill you. Because I think that's important too. At the end of the day, it's one of those cliche sayings, right? You have to be happy with yourself before you can be happy with or anyone else, right? And so it's the same thing, I think, with our drive and creating our sense of purpose and getting clear on things, is that whatever that goal might be, it might be weight loss, it might be performance goals, it might be career goals, but all in all, we've got to figure out where that motivation is and tap into that intrinsic motivation. So think about that for a few, whatever that goal might be, and think about what is getting you charged or fired up to do it. Speaking of goals, so let's say we're all here because we have something we want to improve on, we have something we want to get better, so we're thinking about our motivation. But the next thing we do, we got to identify what it is we're trying to do. Because a lot of us might talk, I want to eat healthier, I need to get to sleep more, or I want to lose weight, I want to change jobs. But just saying these things isn't enough, right? We really have to get focused and clear on those. And so I'm a big fan of writing things down, of taking whatever that goal is and putting it on paper. I literally have a notebook almost everywhere I go to write things down. One, to keep me on track, but two, to take those things that I'm thinking of and make them concrete so that I can look at them, reflect on them, and figure out, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Now, how am I going to do this, right? So again, thinking about motivation, when we write down our goals, now we see those, now they're tangible. Because after this, right, we have to get intentional about it. We have to literally channel our energy, our thoughts, our processes, and make them about this goal. And that also means we need to prioritize. We need to make time to reach this goal. So again, if it's losing weight or getting stronger or getting more sleep, right? There's things we have to do. We might have to shut down our cell phone 30 minutes before going to bed so we can get to bed at a decent time. We might need to set the alarm early, and instead of watching the news at home, we might get to the gym and get on a treadmill so that we can get in that workout, right? So it's kind of creating the intent. And again, write this down, because intention we need to translate into action. But a lot of this stems from getting back at the very beginning and getting clear. What are our goals? What are we motivated to do with those goals? Writing those goals down, and then we're setting our intention and our action plan. So if you know that you want to get to the gym more often, you might get more concrete about this. I'm going to get to the gym 3 days a week. Okay, I'm going to get to the gym 3 days a week in the morning at 7 a.m. and I'm going to go for 45 minutes. And you might even get more specific. What are you going to do? Are you going to a class? Are you going to lift? Make this clear. Have a vision so that it isn't just day-to-day waking up and going through the motions, but now we have a plan and we have intention to take action on that plan. Huge, I think, to helping us cultivate motivation and get consistent. Now it's executing the habit. It's taking action, right? So once we start taking action and we make this part of our process, our journey, like it becomes habitual. And they typically say it's 21 days to create a habit. As a side note, there is a great article and TED Talk on tiny habits by BJ Fogg. He does a lot of research on habit building. I highly recommend checking that out. But essentially we can do these triggers or create these actions or reminders to help us set up our habits. So if the habit is going to the gym in the morning, maybe you set that alarm. And on that alarm, maybe you put a little friendly reminder, or hey, like we're creating our healthier selves, or yes, you can do this. Because not only is it sometimes annoying when you hear the alarm go off, but when you have those positive affirmations on your alarm, that can help make the difference and remind you of your intention and your goal, and to help kind of stir up that intrinsic motivation when sometimes it can wane. The other thing might be like keeping your shoes by your bed or laying your workout clothes out. Doing those things and making those habits, those triggers, can help us progress into adopting that action pattern, right, to create the habit. And the other thing that it's going to take to kind of help us maintain motivation is effort, right? Even though we want to try to automate things and kind of create a lifestyle that becomes habitual, the reality of it is things that are challenging take effort. I watched a great interview the other night with Mark Cuban, and I didn't really know a whole lot about him. I knew he was this billionaire, but I didn't know much of his life story or how he got to where he is now. And one of the things that he said is that there is no secret to success. It takes effort. And it isn't always going to be easy. It takes effort. And I thought that was really valuable, because I think sometimes it's easy to think that someone that was successful, whether it was with weight loss or careers or relationships, that, they just had it made easy, or they had a good break, or they're just so lucky. But the reality of it is, all of this takes effort. So even when our motivation wanes, it's kind of about that desire and that drive to kind of tap into it intrinsically and get that effort into it, the day in and the day out. So I think those things are important, because you're not alone if you're lacking in motivation. I think we're all human beings. Most of us like consistency. Most of us like to know what's coming ahead. But the reality of it is, the areas in which we grow the most are the ones that push us outside of our comfort zone, that force us to rise to the occasion, and that get us kind of uncomfortable in reality, right? And so going back to motivation, cultivating consistency, I think there's a couple of ways, and I'm going to recap those steps again. One, we got to define our goal. Even before that, figuring out what is that extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. More importantly, the intrinsic motivation for your goal. Then we're going to define the goal and write it down on a piece of paper, whatever it is. Now that we have that, we're going to get intentional and create an action plan. We're going to channel our energy toward this and make it a priority to get things done. Then we're going to start executing our habit, building it into our daily lives, or whatever that might be. And last but not least, we're going to put forth effort no matter what. And even if it's one day you slip up a bit, okay, get focused the next day. Because again, I think bigger picture, we have one life and not every day is promised. So if we're here today, why not take action today to create your best self and to reach that goal, whatever it may be? I think at the end of the day and at the end of our lives, we're going to look back and we're going to say, hey, how did it go? How did this run go? And I think the idea is to have no regrets. Live it the most that you can. And so step back, think about, okay, what is my intrinsic motivation for achieving whatever it might be in your relationship, in your career, in your health, wellness, whatever. Shoot me a message, let me know. And then let's get specific, let's get concrete, and let's come up with a plan. So that's it for today. I know it's kind of a lot in a short amount of time, a lot to think about, to process. I highly encourage, if you don't have one, go get a notebook. It'll help keep you kind of focused and on track with your goals, and hopefully as well serve as a source of intrinsic motivation to look back and be like, yes, this is where I'm going and this is where I want to be. On that note, I'm going to shift gears. I definitely need to go to Trader Joe's to get some whipped cream for my coffee, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have an awesome week and tap into that motivation. Love you all.